I had my rookie introduction last time, so I would like to call to order the LTAC meeting, March 10th. Welcome, everybody. Excited to see you guys for a second time. I feel like I've got a little bit more of this down from the agenda last time, and really, I felt like it was a strong meeting. Really, I think great new energy in this group. I'm excited to be on here. I think we have some great things ahead of us. So look forward to hearing your guys' feedback and thoughts on things. And please feel free to reach out to me anytime you have questions or concerns. So Laura, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. I think first thing we have is reviewing the February and approving the February meeting minutes, which were the attachment in the email sent out. If everyone's had a chance to do those or look those over, let me know if there's any comments or changes, and then we can move to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve them, the February 10th meeting minutes.
Wonderful.
Second.
Thank you, Mary.
Sorry, James.
Okay. Complete. Wanted to give a brief update on the 2022 LTAC grants. All of our award notifications are out. We did have an update from the Gig Harbor Celtic Music Festival. They are no longer doing a festival, so they are foregoing their grant. They're still advertising it on Facebook as the Gig Harbor Celtic Music Festival. But what's happening is that they're going to have live bands over a course of several days, rather than having a festival and a ticketed event. So that gives, I mean, that's a $6,000 grant amount that isn't going to be used. So something to consider. I have several million ideas of what we could do with that, but open to yours as well. So all of those are out, and we have signed contracts back for a majority of those. So thank you all for your help and your review of all of those. I know that was a lengthy process because we had a good amount this year. Yeah, that's what we want. Let's see, we have the lodging tax pace chart, which I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I don't know why it's coming exact. There we go. So this is our fun chart from, and I'll send this out right after. I forgot that I wanted to do that last time. From January 2018 to current, our intake for the month of February 2022 is $31,452.75. The average over the past, 5 years, I guess, is 26,000. So we're ahead of pace at 113.78%. So good. That's a better month than last February. We're excited to see that building back. And we hope that continues through. So so far we're pacing ahead of back when we were in a pre-pandemic state. So pacing ahead of January 18 and 19 and February 18 and February 19. So
Laura, how are you getting these numbers? Because before we never could get them this quickly. So just curious.
So I get a report from Michael Williams on our revenue. And that comes in the end of each, or the beginning of each month following. So I just decided to datafy this a little bit and keep a track of everything rather than just keeping an eye on what it is and just see where our pace is, similar to kind of a star report kind of thing, how we're doing. I don't have a way to break it down by specific collector, but the cumulative number is helpful, I think, in gauging our success.
Yeah, again, we were always like a couple months behind. So I'm just curious where you were, who's the finance guy? I can't think of his name.
Dave?
Yeah, he could never, we were always a couple months behind. So I'm just curious how he couldn't have, or is this not accurate? It's just kind of estimated, or?
This is accurate. So this is accurate. So
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So these are the reporting dates that we're looking at. So the numbers for February, those are actually, that's income from December. So there is still a 2-month lag. It's just, we're showing the reporting date. So that's consistent
Oh,
going back 5 years. It's just,
Okay, because I was gonna say it doesn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't, that was not communicated. So that is good to know. All right, we'll go ahead and change everything on this chart to reflect the accurate month.
I was just going, wow, Laura, you're amazing. How'd you get?
Math genius. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll change the months on that entirely
Okay.
and put that forward. Thank you
Okay.
for that clarification, Josh. I did not know that that was a 2-month lag time on reporting for that. Because it just does say year to date on the report. So
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. I mean, yeah.
I will
Thank
do
you.
some background research there and make sure we've got correct months. So
Okay, cool.
anyhow, moving ahead.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Returning to the next item on the agenda, the short-term rental public comment period and planning commission. That was completed. That was an interesting meeting there. You know, there's been a lot of public comment so far. There's been a lot of input. You can review the proposed regulations and they will be open for comment again. There is not a direct date on when that next meeting will be and next opportunity for public comment will be, but we'll relay that as soon as we hear. Just some happenings throughout town. A Gig Harbor Short-Term Rental Alliance has been formed, and they have approximately 140 members. From what I can tell, and this is, we're researching services that count those numbers and count that revenue through 2 items. One is Granicus, which offers a compliance model as well as a tracking model of what addresses are available within town and what's generating revenue. And then another system called AirDNA, which also tracks revenue. So we've been back and forth on what city limits look like versus the greater Gig Harbor area and a Gig Harbor zip code look like. The initial report I got from AirDNA reported something like $927,000 in revenue in 2021 from short-term rentals. That is outside of just the city limits of Gig Harbor. That's for both zip codes, but I thought that was an interesting number to have in the back of our minds as to what impact that might be having. James, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm familiar with AirDNA. I use it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
One thing to take into account is it is measuring additional fees. It's not just nightly rents. So there is a bit of a skew there in terms of that top end number.
Okay, that's really helpful to know. I appreciate that. Yeah, seemed high, but again, I wasn't sure if that was just with the geographical database or and the large amount of places they were including. Stephanie, I see your hand up as well.
Yeah, and I just want you to finish this topic, but I don't want to skip over the conversation that we had in the last meeting about a second round of grants. And I don't see it on the agenda, but we discussed it last time and said it would be discussed at this meeting. So I want to make sure that we address that.
So what's going on there is that I don't have final numbers from what's been spent and what's been allocated yet. I'm still working on that. So we'll have a direct number on that and we'll have an idea of what we can do with that. And again, Josh can lead us through a little bit of what our freedoms are on that and what we can do throughout the year on accepting applications. I'm not sure, if we want to create another deadline and create another application for that, or if there are creative ideas that happen throughout the year, if we consider them on an ad hoc basis, given that we have some extra funds there. Josh, do you want to weigh in on that?
I think my biggest take on this would be that this is really something that's up to the mayor, because at this point we're talking about a significant commitment of staff resources to do another round of grants. And that's not something that we budgeted for. It's not something that's in the tourism department's work plan. So really we need to get the mayor involved and see if she wants to go out for this. We're not talking, I think, about a huge amount of money for grants, so it may not be worth our time. But that's a conversation I think Laura and Seth need to have with Tracy to see what she wants to do. And then we can come back to LTAC and see if that's what they want to do too.
Okay, I think that's important because, I mean, from my point of view, and when I read the MRSDs, the primary function of this committee or this commission is to assure that those funds get where they need to go. And this reporting out is wonderful and all the work that Laura's doing is great, but it's really that grant program that we're charged with making sure happens. And I can guarantee you that the people that receive those funds need those funds. And when I looked at the city stuff, it appeared, and I could be completely wrong about this, but it appeared that there was almost $200,000 that between things that weren't spent or allocated. And that was in the last report that was at one of the council meetings in one of the public documents that was circulated. So there was a discrepancy of about $259,000. And I think we need to make sure that we are keeping close tabs on where those dollars are going.
And Stephanie, you're saying that there's $259,000 missing from our current budget allocations for 2022?
I can't tell you if they're missing. I don't think they're missing. I think there was a discrepancy between the numbers that were reported for the fund totals and what had been spent or allocated. And I'll go back and check my records on that and pull those documents for you and just send those to you independently.
Sure. And I'm
Because
happy to double check on my end as well, but I'm fairly certain we're very allocated on those. Yeah, I will. $250,000 is a lot. So
yeah, it is a lot. And I know that there's, and that's not even accounting for reserves, I don't think. So I'll take a second look at that, but the last time I checked that's what it appeared to be. So even the appearance of having that much money in a kitty somewhere that isn't allocated or spent out seems significant.
And again, I don't think we're required to spend everything that we have in the year for the year, but yeah, I'll take a look at it too. We can actually, we'll chat offline too. Josh, your hand's raised.
Yeah, the LTAC fund works so much differently than all the other city accounts. It's important, I think, to remember that you're really concerned with what your ending fund balance is. And what Stephanie's talking about points to that. Our ending fund balance for last year is way higher than we thought it was going to be because we had way more revenue than we planned for. We spent less than we thought we were going to spend. And I think that may be what she's pointing to.
I see. Okay.
I would recommend not getting caught up on how much we didn't spend last year and just always keep in mind the ending fund balance, because there is no limitation on what LTAC can spend each year. We can spend 200,000 total. We can spend 800,000 total. We just need to keep in mind what that ending fund balance is. And right now we all know that's flush. I mean, that's probably over $1 million at this point.
Mhm.
From a philosophical standpoint, I think the new council and the new administration is going to be much more open to spending that money in this year and next year and in the future than the past mayor and council were. That's a discussion that council will have, and you'll have that discussion when you get your grants for next year's round.
Yeah.
But I think that the important number to keep in mind is what your ending fund balance is, because really anything that's in the ending fund is available to be spent, and there is no reserve requirement. There's no other than what the mayor and council want to strategically plan for. There's no requirement or limitation on what you guys can spend.
Right. But there are limitations and requirements to how it can be spent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we know those. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess to that point, I know that there was a lot of feedback in that grant program about potentially updating the applications, reviewing some of that. And I also think this commission needs to take a little time on their agendas to go through that process. So.
For the LTAC application,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Yep. We can take a look at that. I'll make a note on that. Okay. Heading back into the agenda. Quick update on photography and media outreach. We have a dedicated day per month to gather content. So I will be out throughout town on the first Thursday of every month. If there are things that you think should be photographed, should be looked into, should be pitched, let us know, and we'll set a time to come out, gather and create content, and make that part of our monthly media outreach and community information and content gathering too. So I'll be out on the first, or what day is that? The the first Thursday of each month. Jenica will be out with the camera and all of our equipment on the third Tuesday of each month. That is on our calendar. We will reach out ahead of time. And that doesn't go just for this committee, but for all of our attractions throughout town as well. So, yeah. Any questions on that or any needs that you think might be coming up quickly? No, okay. All right, I am going to quickly share the screen with you again on our current metrics for ad campaigns. I always think this information is interesting and helpful on who we're reaching and who these targets are. Our ad delivery right now is 25% in the Los Angeles metro area, 16% in the Seattle Tacoma area, 15.9 in Phoenix, 7.4 in San Francisco and the Bay Area, and then 7.2 in Portland, which we think, we know those are our top markets. So California, Arizona, and Seattle Tacoma, Portland, the Pacific Northwest. So we're continuing on with our romance ads, which we are still running through February, and our retargeting ads. Those are performing well and above benchmark. We will start to get in new content for our spring and summer ads. And so if you have ideas, let me know. We are more than open to photography, points of interest, everything else. And I know you've seen those ads, and I know they feature some of our STRs as well as the Best Western. You guys have great photography there, so we've utilized that. Yeah, I'm going to go back just a wee bit as well. So we started to run just reports too on what some of our events and metrics look like, especially given our grant process too, given that I'm starting to do JLEP reporting and report to our auditor on how these are spent and how these measured up, based on the idea that, we were attracting people from more than 50 miles away. I'm going to try to see if I can pull this. Diversity. I'm not sure if it's going to do it. We ran a custom report prior to this meeting yesterday. This may be it. So we took a look at Make Music Day, I think, and that was an interesting perspective on what a specific event had produced for us. And this doesn't seem to be the one I needed. Hold on, I'm going to stop share and pull up the direct report. There we go. There we go. Okay. So we took a look at Make Music Day specifically, which happened on June 21st of last year. We also took a look at the Monday prior to that to see what may have been, what impact we might have seen directly from that. So we actually saw fewer visitors than a typical Monday. The economic impact for everything, was slightly lessened. The visitors were slightly lessened. We can also take a look at the event correlation, which can show us how many people attended that event that also booked at a hotel within Gig Harbor. So we have 18 people who correlated with the In Gig Harbor and Make Music Day. Looking at, and Seth, I see your hand up.
Yeah, just a question. So I see the Make Music Day is 6/21, but
Mhm.
the Uptown Shopping Monday is 6/14. So
Yeah,
showing
so
the
we
desire.
paced it toward to see the difference in visitors or the increase of people that would have attended that specific event versus a normal day at Uptown. 6/21 was the Monday following. We took a look at the Monday prior to just compare numbers. So we saw 18 rooms, 18 people that were both at the In Gig Harbor and at Uptown for Make Music Day. On a typical Monday, we saw 16 visitors that were both at Best Western and Uptown, and 17 at the In Gig Harbor and Uptown. So fewer, which we didn't anticipate. I think when we're looking at the efficacy of some of these events, there are a lot that have amazing, amazing potential for community draw and really serve a great purpose. But when we go back to those LTAC guidelines of what brings in tourists from over 50 miles away to book specific room nights, some of these may not be performing in the way we hope they would. And that's not to say they're not valid and not to say they're not important. But that data to me is so important to see if our funds are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So just a great source of data, a great source of just insight as to how they're performing. Doesn't mean necessarily that it's something we wouldn't fund again, but I do think that that's an interesting part. In the past, we've relied on self-reporting to see what the impact was. And I'm not sure those numbers always correlate with the data. So something to consider. I see Sue and Mary have hands up.
Just really quick, did we fund? I don't remember. We give
I think
funds to either one of
we give
those?
a $6,000 grant to Make Music Day.
We did.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't remember that at all. So
United by Music North America was the recipient, and they threw that. And they do great events. But we're also taking a look at those key numbers too, to have a proven impact. And I think that's one of the important parts of what that Datafy insight provides us with. Mary.
Is it possible to get reports for the farmer's market?
Oh yeah. Yep, absolutely. I'm still figuring out how to do these. So I'm getting a little bit of training on how to appropriately figure out the parallelogram. That's not the word, it's a polygon. But how to draw that and how to also see the correlation between hotels and impact too. So some of that is economic impact for, spending in and by that address. Some of that is calculated through hotel rooms. So yeah.
The other thing I would love to see after this year would be Girls' Night Out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we can do that for all of these events. That's part of the benefit with this. We can do this for, Summer Sounds. We can do this for anything, and take a look at the efficacy of those too. So
Thank you.
yeah. You know me, I love some nerdy data. Never met an Excel sheet I didn't love. An update on the visitors guide. I'd like to just give a huge shout out to Jenica for compiling all of our content and informations. We're ahead of schedule. We've got our ad sales happening. It's going to be a great publication. We've combined this year's content and ad sales also with sponsorship opportunities for some of our public events. So we anticipate that being a great way to lift the quality of the performance that we can book for Summer Sounds, and then just increase some of our event quality and capacity as well. That's also going to help us out with distributing the visitors guide in a really great way. We'll be sending it to the 332 and 335 as widely as we can, because we've always said our citizens are our best publicists. So getting that out ahead of time and having people make plans for events they want to do throughout the year is going to be critical. Sue, I see your hand.
sorry, one more question. Content. Jenica, did we get to approve content for the hotels?
We still need to send you your pages. We'll
Okay.
do that right after this. And Jenica,
Okay.
I'll get with you on that and just make sure
Okay.
everyone's got their stuff.
Thank you.
Content to approve.
I mean, most of it has been pulled from like already approved. It's what's on the website. But there's some additional, yeah, that we'll for sure send me.
Gotcha. Cool. Yes, and I think we've included a few more, we have the opportunity to include a few more images from STRs as well. So James will touch base with you on that. I know I have the links to all of the featured properties that you've sent through. So yay. Let's see, we've gone through that. Short lead media pitches. We are compiling our monthly pitch. There was a great journalist, Laura Shin, who writes really frequently for the Seattle Times, looking for rainy day activities. We've got a good compilation of things to send over on that. But we'll be sending out to regional and key short lead media, so newspapers, websites, everything that runs like in the month for the month. What's happening with Easter, what's happening with spring events, what's happening with Paddler's Cup, the Community Paddlers Dock launch that will be happening shortly. And then we'll also have a separate pitch going out at the same time to our long lead publications. So that's national magazines, regional magazines, things that have like a 3-month lead time. So in that, we'll also be pitching for spring and summer planning on floating dinner parties, which is something we've got in the works with the Duffy yachts or the Duffy boats at Gig Harbor Yachts, the Gig Harbor Beer Fest for the summer, and of course the Waterfront Farmers Market. We've got our Summer Sounds press release drafted. So we'll have that list to you. That's a total of 10 weeks and 10 bands. We have a huge amount of variety, and I'm really excited about the quality of performers we're bringing in. We've upped that for this year. I think it's going to be a huge draw. I think each one of these bands have a regional following. So we'll see people not just from Gig Harbor, but also from the surrounding area. So put out your chairs early.
3 o'clock.
What was that?
At 3 o'clock. No earlier than 3.
We'll see. Anyhow, so I'm very excited about that, and that press release will be out this beginning of next week. We've continued to talk about an MPI planners fam, so bringing out planners from the region to view Gig Harbor as a destination in total. We need some participation from our multiple venues throughout town, and putting together an itinerary. So I've been working on that. Sue, I know you have an interest there. I know Ocean 5 has an interest, and we just need to figure out what other venues and potentials we have there. Stephanie, I know you mentioned that you're not doing as many private events at the History Museum.
Yeah, I mean, we just had such limited space, and almost everybody wants a bigger group space than we have now. So
Yeah,
we
that's
used to
fair.
be one of the bigger spaces in town, but I mean, we can only do about 50 people sitting down. So
Okay, well, that's good to know too. So we can mention it, but maybe not make it a featured meeting.
yeah, I mean, it's a better option for like a staff retreat, a small staff retreat or something like that. But
Well, you also have a cap, correct? That you're not looking to produce revenue over a certain amount on those.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
As nonprofits, we have a lot of limitations in terms of what we can do with numbers of days of for-profit events and that sort of thing. Private events and nonprofit events are no problem, but it's the for-profit events that are problematic.
Yep. Also good to know and keep in the back of our minds. Heading up to our next item, and I'll be in touch with everybody who has an interest in that as we start to confirm that. We re-signed our annual partnership contracts with Travel Tacoma and Visit Kitsap. So we've got a new director of marketing and communications over at Travel Tacoma, who we met the other week. Visit Kitsap has full staff of 2 people now. Awesome. So Jenica and I were able to meet them, and really feeling good about our co-branded pitches on outdoor and food and wine. We're also just an off-agenda item, continuing to work on how we make Gig Harbor a holiday destination. So we continue to have conversations on what it's going to look like to figure out an ice rink at Uptown. We're working on that. I have to work with people with more electrical knowledge than I have on reserving one of Penn Light's extra transformers. So interesting stuff. You learn a lot. about what goes into an ice rink. Weird
It's
and wacky rules.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. We're also just tentatively checking out what we can do downtown as far as the Christmas market idea, whether that be, stands and stalls for in a branded way. And then carts with, roasted chestnuts and hot cocoa available for purchase while you stroll downtown during the holiday. So we're working on something for each part of town to make Gig Harbor a real holiday experience for people to come in town, stay for an evening, have some holiday traditions, and then, impact our December bottom line. So Mary, I saw that. Okay.
Yeah, have you had any word from Argosy whether or not they're going to return to Gig Harbor this year?
Not yet. Not for this year. They canceled 2021 pretty late in the game.
Yeah,
So I think they're just playing it by ear. I wonder if they saw more profit on doing a shorter cruise this past year when they cut out a few destinations. I'm uncertain of that, but I have not heard yet. I will check in.
okay.
So
We'll be trying to get our holiday hay rides with Santa back this year.
oh yeah.
Make sure all the parties involved are available, including Santa.
Yeah, I'm always interested to hear about Santas. Another weird one. Yep. So that's what we've got on the books right now. That's what we're working on. We've heard a lot of interest from people on having an event in Gig Harbor North. There's been some behind the scenes conversations too about having something that's a little similar to like a food and music or a food and wine kind of event. We've taken a look at Shaw Park. I have a potential name. So at the end of Blackberry season, calling it the Blackberry Jam. Inviting restaurants from throughout the harbor area to do small bites and, preliminary tasters, things that are essentially a publicity thing. Not sure if it'll be.
Just so you know, Bremerton does the Blackberry Festival.
Blackberry Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be separate. They do it over, I believe, Labor Day weekend. So this would be a separate event. This would be Gig Harbor focused only, and a one-day event rather than a multiple idea. It's kind of a heightened, smaller experience. So
Years ago, Gig Harbor used to have the Huckleberry Festival.
oh yeah,
Very few people know about it, but but we have documentation. Yeah.
the Huckleberry Jam.
Huckleberries are better than
Yeah.
any other
Well, it was-
berry, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was called the Huckleberry Festival. And there was a Huckleberry pie baking contest. There was like the Miss Huckleberry, yeah.
Huckleberry.
the whole thing. Yeah. I don't know how long lived it was, but it was on for a while.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. The Round Rock competition is going to be part of our summer pitch
Yeah, it's
as
on.
usual.
First 2 weeks of July. I will say that we just found out yesterday that we're getting an Edward Curtis lantern slide exhibit, which is pretty unusual because he made a few lantern slides and he had this special show that he traveled around to promote his work on the North American Indian. So this will actually feature hand tinted reproductions of lantern slides made large as if they were projected on the wall, and with featuring tribes from all over North America. So that'll be up for June, July, and August.
Awesome.
And we'll send out more information as soon as we have the rest of that. But there may be, some draw because Edward Curtis had a pretty big draw in terms of people interested in his work. And these are, they've only been on exhibit one other time. And so this could be a pretty special exhibit.
Awesome. Send me details. We'll put it in the pitch, and that's exciting. Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
Anything else coming up that we should note on our calendars or start to promote for these upcoming pitches?
I sent you guys the information. We've picked a date for History Rocks. That's a combined auction and concert. So, and we've lined up Junior Cadillac again. So this may be their last concert ever, but hey, wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah. So does that coincide with the end of the concerts in the park?
I think our last one is August 30th.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me see in your email this.
We're on the 20th.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
Right smack dab in the middle. So, yeah, but we're very excited to see History Rocks come back.
Yeah.
So, and it looks like the 20th is a good day. I think that'll be one of the only Saturday concert events. So.
Yeah, and we'll be having kind of an open house at the museum and a beer garden in the back and, just general fun stuff. It'll be ticketed on site, but if people want to sit in the park on either side and listen to music, they certainly can do that. So,
Oh, I'll be there with bells on.
all right.
In-person event. That Councilman Dorset, I see your hand up.
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to put out just one question since this is my second meeting. But does this time work really well for everybody? I don't know how it was maybe decided in the past. I know it's, during a work day, we all have jobs. And so just was kind of curious if, doing this during a lunchtime or earlier morning could be preferred. And maybe, maybe the best way to do this, Laura, is sending out like a survey of what works best. I will say personally for myself on Thursdays, we are doing study sessions for the council. So that already takes half of my day, which makes me a little stressed and I wake up early. And this only being once a month, it's not hard to make. And definitely, wanted to see what works best for everybody. So curious about any feedback or thoughts there.
I'm open to sending out a poll. Is there a time that would work better for anybody off the top of their heads?
Well, Thursdays in general seem to be really busy just because like we're open to the public. I have a staff meeting. I've got sometimes, finance committee meetings and stuff. So it's just a busy day all around. But
So Saturday afternoons for everyone, yes?
they said,
So Seth, what day would be better? I mean, what day would be better for you? I guess start there.
I'm sure Thursdays are just tough unless we did it during the lunch hour. It tends to be Mondays and Thursdays seem to be my busy days for work and council. So just the way it overlaps. So I'm open to other days or lunch periods or prefer the morning versus afternoon.
Yeah. And then Laura and, Jenica, I guess you go from there, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll send out a query just on, gosh, what is that? There's a software that you can just plug in your potential open dates on. We'll query it. We'll see what's open for everybody and propose a couple times. And maybe, Josh, I'm not sure what the process is for public notice on switching a time for a committee meeting.
It's just up to the group. They can decide to switch whenever they want.
Because Mary, you had to miss Thursdays, right? Because of the market.
You're right.
Yeah. So
Every Thursday in the summer.
yeah, so switching days probably would be a good thing for all. Yeah. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, perfect. We'll send out a query and we'll just find out what works best for everybody and submit that time and make a little change.
All right. Does anybody have anything else? Anything that you want to, see on the agenda for next week? You don't have to bring it up now, but shoot Laura a message on it so we can be sure to discuss it. Otherwise, unless there's anything else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make.
We do stay here all day.
Yeah. So go.
Second.
Right
All
there.
right.
James first
Thank
and
you.
Lindsay second.
Thank you to
all.
all.
11:40. Thank you all.
For keeping it under an hour. I mean, never before. So thank you. Thank you.
Efficient meetings for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot between all the different meetings. Things are moving a lot faster. So that's good. As long as we're covering everything we need to and people are good with that. If there's things we need to spend more time on, then we definitely should and have those discussions. So yeah, can't say it'll always go this way, but I like it.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd add is I would sure encourage the properties to encourage their customers to come downtown, especially during construction.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a ghost town down here. I was on the phone for an hour this morning with a downtown merchant whose sales are down considerably, and it's pretty ugly.
We do.
We can do
Yeah.
we can do a better job of steering people that way. So I'll take it upon myself to make sure we're spelling that out a little bit better. And I would love if we kind of got railroaded on the whole STR thing in terms of the alliance, and you were mentioning AirDNA. So just at the next meeting, if we can circle back on how exactly
Oh.
that is going, I would love more
Absolutely, and I'm
information on
happy
that.
to give you just a brief call just after this to go through that a little bit more in depth as well, because I know that affects
Okay.
you directly.
Sounds good.
Wonderful.
I'd also add that if there's any of the lodging folks that need materials from any of us, like, from the Waterfront Alliance, from the museum, from Wild Watch, we are happy to supply those and bring those to your site. So sometimes we know who they are, sometimes we don't. It's easy to find Sue. Not exactly sure where to find James. So
We're also happy to be the central point for that. I know the wall outside of my office has long held brochures from around town so that we can put them in press kits. We can deliver them out. We have a real opportunity, and Jenica and I are taking a look at all of our collateral materials, some that are very dated, from net sheds to golf to food. And we've established a new list there. We're going to establish par amounts, when to reorder and when to replenish throughout town. So we're establishing that list right now. If you would like to be on that list, if you know anyone who would like to be on that list, let us know. We'll add it in. We'll put it in our distribution circle.
okay.
Stephanie,
Go
I'll
ahead,
swing
Greg.
by and come see you soon too, and come
Oh,
grab
that'd
those.
be awesome. Okay, great.
Will do.
And Laura, are there more maps available?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
We're in the process of redesigning that because some of the information is super dated.
Yeah.
There are some fixes that I have for that. And we're also just contextually looking at branding things to make sure that we're not ordering 20 years of maps with old branding. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
Stephanie, can I just ask you really quick? Are you still 3 days a week or did you change?
We are
it?
right now. There's a chance that we will go to 4 after Memorial Day.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I could just throw in really quick so everyone knows the Visitor Interpretive Center, Scansy House, is open now. We reopened a couple weeks ago. So we are open from Wednesday through Saturday from 10 to 4 right now. If you know any volunteers, we are very much still looking for volunteers. Most of our volunteers are older and are still not comfortable coming back. So if you have any volunteers, please send them my way. And of course, all your visitors.
Okay. That probably counts for interns too, right, Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. All right. Thank you.
thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
See you
thanks.
soon.